Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us for this new podcast called Inside Stoney Creek. And really the entire concept behind this is we want to inform and inspire people about the launch of the brand new campus at Heritage Church coming up in the fall of 2024. And I am here with my lovely wife, Kristin.
Hey guys.
That's right. And I am the campus pastor of our new campus. And this is Kristin. So just real quick, just to let everybody know, how long have we been married for? And you should know that. You hopefully know the exact month, the date.
Okay, we got married in 2007, August 29th. So we are going on 17 years of being married, which feels wild to say. Like, we're almost graduated.
That's right. That's
not
pretty wild.
From each other, but we're almost graduated.
Yes. Almost a senior.
Almost 18. Yeah. So we got married when we were babies.
Yes. And a lot of people don't know this, but we actually got married in Hawaii, which
Love
is a
it.
fun fact about us. And it makes us seem like we're super bougie, but that's literally not at all how our
we just actually wanted to stay within a certain budget. And and have an awesome honeymoon. So we ended up just going to Hawaii with 13 people. It was a super tiny wedding. There was a guy in a Speedo that ran by in front of us as we were getting married, which actually I think is funny. But
I thought my dad was going to drown him in the ocean. That would have been a great start to our marriage. But it's funny because that's a life hack for any of young people who are in their 20s who are looking to get married, 20s or 30s, and you're looking to save a little bit of money. Destination weddings, where it's at.
We also honeymooned a little bit with our parents being there, which I didn't fully mind. But there were a couple nights where we were in Hawaii. They were all there too, and we would see them walking down the main street, and we would just hide. I remember we were in a coffee or an ice cream shop, and I was like, let's just pretend like we don't see them, because it was the day after we got married.
Yeah, I think we had a few times where we saw our family and we just tried to avoid them completely.
But we did do dinner with them.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Yes.
So yeah, we got married in Hawaii.
That's right. And then we're filming this in our house. And the reason being is we just knew with this podcast, we want to let people into a little bit of our lives and who we are, the things we care about. And then over the next, few episodes, people are going to meet some important people that are going to be a part of the launch, like Jeff Forrester, Ryan Morrow, who's our family ministries pastor, Nathan Waldorf, and a few others who are part of our launch team. And so I'm just excited to do this entire podcast in our house.
I'm excited. It's cozy. I had to clean a lot in order for this to happen.
Thank you for doing that.
But no, we actually love having people over. We love creating spaces that feel cozy and welcoming. And so we just want to welcome you into our home, and we're excited about doing this.
That's right. And then one of the things about us is that, we really do not just love each other, we like each other. And a lot of married people say that, but we actually do really like each other. But I want to know how well you know me. We're going to play a quick game, and I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're going to do the same. You're going to ask me something, okay? So I'll start with the first one. And it relates to sports, okay?
Oh, I'm going to lose.
Okay, so how well do you know me? What is my favorite, and it's a sports question, it's a two-parter, okay? What's my favorite sport to play, and then my favorite sport to watch?
Okay. Oh, I know you love playing hockey.
That's right. Okay, you got that one right.
So that one. But I don't think it's your favorite one to watch, although you've been watching it a lot lately because of the playoffs. Red Wings
have been pretty good.
Yeah. I think your favorite sport to watch is football. Is that true?
She got it right. Okay. Nice work.
Okay.
You got both the sports questions right. That's good.
All right. I'm going to ask you one.
All right.
If we're going on a road trip, what are my road trip snacks? Like, we're going into the gas station, we're going to 7-Eleven. What am I grabbing?
Okay.
And what am I eating?
Well, I would say it doesn't matter wherever we're going. Even if we're going for a road trip 20 minutes down the road, you want a snack to go.
I love snacking. Well, first of all, I get motion sickness. So
that
I don't
you
get
to eat?
as sick if I'm snacking in the car.
Okay, I don't know about that.
If it makes
I don't know if that is scientific at all. But I would say if it's snacks, I feel like I'm probably going to be wrong on this.
Oh, no.
But I would say if it's a drink, you're definitely going to want to get Starbucks on the road.
What am I drinking, though? What is my Starbucks drink?
Your Starbucks
if you
order.
Get this right.
You're going to buy me a Starbucks next time?
Sure.
Okay. So your Starbucks order currently is you like to get a grande iced coffee, but you like extra ice in it, and you want to put the extra ice into a bigger cup, which is a venti. And it's iced coffee with no sweetener, heavy whipping cream, and
that's it.
Caramel.
Sometimes caramel drizzle.
Yeah, if you're feeling a little bit spicy that day, a little caramel drizzle.
Good job.
So that's your Starbucks order. You're definitely getting that. And then I would say the one snack that you get, I feel like Cheez-Its is one maybe over the year. No, sometimes you get those spicy Takis.
But now I'm gluten-free.
Taki type things.
No, Fritos.
Fritos, okay, whatever.
And peanut M&Ms.
The one thing you get on trips that I cannot stand is, it's a weird thing about you, is that whenever you go on a plane, why do you have to get a hard-boiled egg?
Okay, this is because there's not a lot of things you can get at the airport.
Okay.
If you're gluten-free.
So why do you have to subject everybody else to the pain of you eating? I mean, just think about that. We're on a flight and everybody has to sit there in the airplane.
So Starbucks has these little like adult Lunchables, and I didn't just get it for the hard-boiled egg, but like it helps that there's hard-boiled egg and like peanut butter, and you just feel healthy when you're flying, you know? So that's what I get. And I apologize if you've ever had to sit next to me.
If you've ever been on a plane, you start to smell a hard-boiled egg. Just look around because Kristin is probably on that plane with you. Okay, so I got one more. I got one more question for you. What's my favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
No.
What?
My favorite holiday? No.
Huh? Hold on, don't say it. Oh, yeah.
St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, his birthday is St. Patrick's Day, so that makes sense.
Those are trick questions. Yeah, that's my favorite holiday.
But it's also your birthday,
but as a close second, I would say Thanksgiving.
Okay, I have another question for you. Okay. Who is my favorite author and podcaster? She's both.
Okay, Jess Connolly. That's easy. Because you have a book recently.
Jess Conley. I love all of her books. Are we tagging her in this? If she would ever have me on her podcast. She's responded to something that I've messaged her about before. A big deal. So I think we might be friends, but she doesn't know yet.
It's probably a ghostwriter, but that'd be cool if it was her.
No, she manages her social media.
We'll see.
She's not that famous yet.
All right, so why don't you tell everybody about our faith journey? Because a lot of people maybe who are listening to this podcast, whether they're interested in being a part of Stoney Creek or not, they just may not know us. Maybe they haven't heard us share our story. So just if you could just quickly, just go ahead and share your story and then how we got to Heritage.
Okay. So my personal faith story is that I grew up in a Christian home, have known of the name of Jesus since I can remember. Like I don't ever remember like hearing about him or hearing about his love for me. I've just always known it. My parent or my mom, especially my dad too, but my mom especially did a great job of raising me to know who Jesus was, was very involved in a Baptist church growing up. And so was part of their youth group. So I don't have this like crazy, I remember like, accepting him in 7th grade at a camp, at a Christian camp. And I remember like in college, this big moment of like really deciding that I wanted to follow him because of it being my faith, not my parents' faith. Stuff happening in relationships where it really truly like drew me back to the Lord. So I have, just have had a really beautiful journey with him. I've had some like hard times for sure where I questioned things and had to figure it out on my, if I really believed it on my own. And he's always led me back. So I have journals of me praying in high school that my future husband would have all these qualities. And one of the things I prayed for is that my future husband would be a pastor.
Right.
Didn't really remember that I even prayed that until after we got married, and then I like got to read back.
Which is funny because when we first got married, I did not want to be a pastor at all.
Yeah, no, you did not. Which was cool. We still served together. We like right away, even when we were dating, we were serving together in our church, and so being part of faith communities has always been super important to us. We met in our young adult ministry. And we were just friends for a while. And so had a great friend group that we were really plugged in together. We would hang out all the time, just friends. Maybe you were trying to not be just friends, but it took a little bit for that to evolve. But so being part of faith communities has just always been really important to us. And so you can tell you're part of.
Well, yeah, and I would just say too, as long as I've known you, you've always like loved Jesus. Like when I met you, when I was in college, you were in college. You've always like been passionate about trying to know the Lord, which is really inspiring to so many people, and has inspired me and encouraged me and motivated me along the way. But for me, honestly, it's funny how similar our stories are because I grew up in a more traditional church for sure, and it's one of those things where. Growing up, I did accept Jesus and trust Jesus at a young age. I believe that when I was younger, I knew who he was, but it wasn't until I graduated high school when I really made my faith my own, when I actually started serving him, when I actually started to I think I've told this story before, but I'll share it again. I can remember when I actually, growing up, my dad would always buy me these faith-based books, or he'd always tell me to read in John or read in about Paul, and my dad would try to tell me these things. And I remember when I was in college, and I remember actually reading the Bible and reading about Jesus's words, and I honestly, it was contagious for me. I just kept on reading and reading and reading, and then I told my dad one day, I was just I wish you would have told me how cool Jesus was, and he goes, I've been telling you that your whole life, and but it was the right timing for me. It just had to be the right timing. Had to to be God's timing that he really got a hold of my life. And then obviously meeting you and having a great faith community we were part of. And then when it comes to ministry, it was actually on a missions trip that we were serving on together, newly married, like brand newly married. And I really felt like God like had an audible voice speaking to me on that trip, which sounds weird. And maybe people think we're like weirdos for saying that. It's only been a few times in my life. I know you've had those moments too, but God said to me, you could do this.
Yeah.
You could do this.
I remember, so we were married on the trip, but we stayed in separate rooms just at the end of the trip. I was with the current pastor's wife. You were, I don't know where you were, but I remember her and I just like lay like both in our beds, separately. And we were just like chatting. And she's like, has Kyle ever thought about like doing like full-time ministry as a career? And I was like, I don't know, but I hope so. So I remember her and I having that conversation the same night that the Lord had spoken to you. And so, so then you went to college and changed careers and prayed about it a lot prior to changing. You're like, if I'm changing, I'm changing, and this is going to be a really big deal.
It put us both in. It was a tough spot because I already had a full-time job. We had a house, I think, or had just bought a house in Royal Oak. So we're trying to pay the bills. And then I was going to college. So it was full-time college, full-time job. And I was a volunteer youth pastor for a church. And so we were doing that Wednesday nights, Sunday nights. Kristin has always been a part of the ministries I've been a part of and led. And then we had Ella along the way. So we have 2 awesome daughters. That's one thing we didn't mention at the beginning.
Super important. We have a teenager. She'll be 14 in like 2 months, which is crazy. She's in 8th grade. And then we also have an 11-year-old who's in 5th grade.
Yes.
Ella and Knightley, they're amazing. You'll see them at Stony Creek. They're going to be super. They were a super big part about us making this decision to go. They were like 100% on board. Even before I was like still praying about it, they were like, Mom, we're going. And I'm like, let's talk about it first. They were huge fans.
That's great. But we served together and I ended up getting into full-time ministry. We've been together doing ministry with people, and she has her own ministry as well that she serves people. But it's been years. And then we got involved in 2017. God led us to Heritage Church, and we have absolutely loved Heritage Church. I know for me, really, like, I guess I'll say what my favorite part is, but I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but what's your favorite part about Heritage? Because it's been, 6 or 7 years, whatever. It's almost 7 years we've been there. So what do you love most?
I love Heritage. I think that, I know without a doubt that he called us there. So that's like one of my most, like the things I love the most, because I know that the Lord was like, this is where you're going to be. We'll tell that story at some point. But I just love that it truly feels like family. Like we do have family there, but it also just feels like I love going into the offices and like seeing, the community that's built there. I love being in the lobby and just the amount of like growth that's happening, not from the stance of like numbers. Like numbers are cool because they mean life change, but also just like the energy of like people wanting to be there. You know that the kids are like dragging their parents to be there because they want to be there. The parents are like excited to be there because their kids are like changing and growing and so I just think the realness of it, like the people you see on stage, the way they are on stage is how they are when they're like at home. Like I just love how real and authentic. And
that's good.
I can go on and on.
I know. I can tell. I would say for me, it has been such a great journey. And then I think that when God opened the doors up for this new Stony Creek launch, it felt like scary for sure for both of us. Like, wow, this is a big deal, but also a no-brainer. And we're going to talk in the next episode actually about the it factor that Heritage has and why people need to be a part of what's going on. And I believe all of that. But I think you mentioned it's just the community that's been forming. And I think that's why it's so much fun to be a part of a church like this, to where people, they're coming to know Jesus and then they're meeting friends and family. I've seen people, the ministries we've been part of, people, who have met each other and got married, or, now they have kids together. And it's just like some people who became best friends because of a ministry we've been a part of. And I think community is such an important thing. And I think anybody living in that area, who may be right now, even today, even this month, they feel isolated. My hope is that 6 months or 8 months or a year from now, they're going to find community and find friendship and hope because of the community that's formed at Stony Creek at this new campus.
I think that is why we really truly want to be part of opening this campus, is because and the reason equally why it's hard to leave the Sterling Heights campus is because that community we love. There are people and I'm like, I don't want to say bye to that. But I think that the Stony Creek area is going to thrive because of what we're going to be able to offer there. And so I care about that more than I care about my comfort and my friends and my people that I want to stay with, because there's a lot of people, and there's going to be more people that we're going to get to know and be part of their lives. And
Agreed. All right, so I want to ask you then, so 16 years we've been doing ministry together. What is your favorite memory of all time in ministry?
Okay, so this is probably not your traditional like favorite memory.
Okay. Great.
It probably is one of the most challenging times in ministry that we've ever experienced together. But I think it was in our last church that we were a part of, that we worked at. We were, there for several years, loved it. The Lord was just calling us to leave. And so that was a longer journey than I would have thought it would have been, and a more challenging journey. Just a lot of hurt that happened, and miscommunication, things like that. And so I think it grew us together really. I mean, it bonded. Like, we sat, not on this couch, this is a new couch, but I remember like the couch that we had in here previously, we would just sit for hours and like talk and pray and just be on the same page, which was really powerful. I think it really bonded us in ministry together. And it really made us not second guess if we were made for ministry. Like, it is challenging. It's not always, not everybody understands. Not everybody gets like what we are doing sometimes. But if the Lord's calling us to do something, we have to move, and we have to and go towards what he's calling us towards. So although it's not my favorite memory, I think that experience really bonded us and really allowed us to be like, that we're in this thing for the long haul. Like, we love the Lord, and wherever he's calling us, whatever that looks like for us, I think we're going to be in it together.
Yeah, I think it brought us out stronger with each other and stronger in our conviction towards ministry and people. And so I agree with that. Yeah. For me, my favorite ministry moment, which is also kind of a unique one, because I was a youth pastor for over 10 years, and I have so many, I could go on and on and on about missions trips and events and camps and like kids getting saved, like so many awesome moments.
There's
too many to share. But the one that when I think back on ministry, it's actually doesn't involve me at all, and it actually involves Ella, our oldest. Yeah. And I remember a few years ago, taking her to her first youth event.
Yeah, like, we're parents.
Yes,
parents,
and I had just gotten done like the year or two before being a youth pastor, and some of the people that were in our youth ministry were now youth leaders, like literally like a dozen of them.
Crazy.
From our young adult ministry or our youth ministry, were either leading the ministry or small group leaders. So they had like texted us, I cannot believe Ella's coming to youth group. And I remember just taking her and just seeing her having fun and so much joy. And there's something about that. Yeah. And I think that's the thing people maybe don't know about me and about us, is that for me, I like being, in ministry. I've enjoyed being a pastor and all that stuff. And I unfortunately sometimes have tried to find my fulfillment or in success and that sort of thing.
Enneagram 3.
Yes, exactly. If you know the Enneagram, which we'll talk about next episode. That's me. I'm an achiever. But there's nothing that compares to being a dad at all. Yeah. Like, for me, I would rather fail at work but win as a parent, Yeah. And I've really had that mindset is that if I'm winning at work but failing as a parent, I'm failing.
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, seeing Ella and Knightley like love Jesus, and pursue him and have good relationships with us, that means more than anything else. Yeah. It's not always easy, of course, so to me that was a big memory. And another memory, I actually want to share this one as well, and this is kind of inspiration behind, one of the reasons why we want to start this campus, why we want to be in ministry, but it involves our first church we were a part of.
Oh, so we nothing like your first.
Yeah. So when we were serving, and I was a volunteer youth pastor, I was at Woodside Bible Church in the Royal Oak campus. I was there for 2.5 years. I was the youth pastor. You were it's
like admin. I just did
like the secretary admin for the building. So for like two years, where did you say you did that?
The cool thing is we launched that church too, which is like, you might not know that we've already launched a church. It looked way different than what we're doing now, but it was brand new, baby. We like came in and like renovated the church. Like,
oh my gosh,
it was crazy.
Literally, we had the whole basement was our youth area. Yeah. And so, I mean, think about it. What did we bring? We brought like couches.
I mean, I remember like garbage picking, like a chair that was like a hand.
Yeah, it looked like a hand.
That was in the basement.
We had a sound system. And anybody who knows me, who's listening to this, knows I'm not a techie person. I set up the sound system, so it was janky. But we literally brought like Nintendo 64s, and like people were donating. So it was like the entire basement was like ours. Yep. Your name, I'm sure, was all over paperwork and stuff because you were secretary there.
Literally, we started.
Yeah, like it was very important. But the crazy thing is, a few years ago at our young adult ministry at Heritage called YA, there was a girl who came through, and and she apparently worked at Woodside Royal Oak.
Yeah, yeah.
And you said, hey Kyle, you got to meet this girl. She's actually like works at Woodside Royal Oak.
She had like the job that I had, you know. So
so it had been a little over 10 years since we had been there at the time. And so I went to her, and it was so funny because here's what I'm thinking, and I'm sure the people who are listening to this will understand, because I'm thinking she has to know who we are.
At least like my name has to be something.
She's probably heard of us. It sounds arrogant to say. I'm like, oh, so we go up. I'm like, yeah, I'm Kyle Daubenmeyer, and this is Kristin Daubenmeyer. And she goes, oh, okay. And then I was like, have you like heard of it? Like it sounds arrogant to say, but I'm like, have you like heard of us?
That way, but yeah, just like, oh my gosh, we love that church. Like that was our baby.
Yeah,
like,
and I'm thinking she had to have seen the fact that the walls are, I would paint like graffiti on the walls, which was trendy at the time. I'm like, is this graffiti? No, I'm asking her all these questions, and she has like no awareness of who we are. Doesn't care, and it's so funny to think about that. So this person, we're expecting her to know who we were, have heard of us, doesn't know who we are at all. And honestly, at first we kind of laughed. We're like, oh, she's never like, no one's ever talked about us. They didn't mention what a great youth pastor they used to have, or what a great secretary they used to have.
That's the goal, right? Yes. Like John 3:30 is like, he must become greater, I must become less. And like, that is what we want.
Yes. And that's the thing I was getting to, is that was what was cool about the whole thing, is that like literally within a couple hours, you and I that night, we were chuckling about that, just how cool it is to know that after we had left there 10 years prior or after or whatever, how we know that probably hundreds, if not thousands of people have come to know Jesus through those doors, and yet none of them know our names. And isn't that cool? Isn't that the goal? Cool. Yeah. Isn't that the goal of ministry? For our names to be forgotten, but Jesus is to be known. Yeah. And like you said, John 3:30, it's like, I must decrease so that he may increase. Yeah. And that's my heart behind why we're starting this. We want Stoney Creek and this church should be known as a church that lifts up the name of Jesus, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited for it.
Yes. So thank you so much, obviously, for being here and being on this podcast. We're going to be talking again in the next one about what it looks like to have the it factor, because I think that, or I know that Heritage has it right now, and we believe that Stoney Creek is going to have it. And so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But we'll see you guys for the next episode of Inside Stoney Creek.